My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. 1 minute passed, and Lethe wards had sunk. 'Tis not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beechen green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. Oh, for a draught of vintage, that hath been cooled a long age in the deep-delved earth, tasting of flora and the country green, dance and provençal song and sunburnt mirth. Oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, full of the true, the blushful hippocrene, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim, and purple-stained mouth, that I might drink, and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim, fade far away, dissolve and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret. Here, where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few, sad, last gray hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre-thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow, and leaden-eyed despairs, where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. Away, away, for I will fly to thee, not chariot by Bacchus and his pards, but on the viewless wings of poesy, though the dull brain perplexes and retards. Already with thee, tender is the night, and haply the queen moon is on her throne, clustered around by all her starry fays. But here there is no light, save what from heaven is with the breezes blown, through verdurous glooms and winding mossy ways. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs, but, in embalmed darkness guess each sweet, wherewith the seasonable month endows, the grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild, white hawthorn and the pastoral eglantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose, full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eves. Darkling I listen and, for many a time, I have been half in love with easeful death, called him soft names in many amused rhyme, to take into the air my quiet breath. Now more than ever seems it rich to die, to cease upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art pouring forth thy soul abroad. In such an ecstasy, still wouldst thou sing, and I have ears in vain, to thy high requiem become a sod. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird, no hungry generations tread thee down. The voice I hear this passing night was heard, in ancient days by emperor and clown, perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth, when, sick for home, she stood in tears amid the alien corn, the same that ofttimes hath charmed magic casements opening on the foam of perilous seas in fairy lands forlorn. Forlorn, the very word is like a bell, to toll me back from thee to my sole self. Adieu, the fancy cannot cheat so well, as she is famed to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, thy plaintive anthem fades, past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley glades. Was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music, do I wake or sleep? This extended passage from Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats captures a deep meditation on the nature of life, death, and the transcendent beauty of art. Here's a summary. Introduction to the Nightingale's Song. The poet begins by describing his emotional and physical weariness, as if intoxicated or numbed by a drug. However, his feelings stem from being overwhelmed by the joy of the nightingale's song, a symbol of carefree, eternal beauty, desire for escape. Keats longs for a draught of wine, imagining it as a means to escape into the nightingale's idyllic world. The wine represents the richness of life and nature, allowing him to leave behind the troubles of the human condition. Contrast between human suffering and the bird's bliss. The poet reflects on the nightingale's freedom from human struggles, aging, illness, and death. While humans are burdened by sorrow and fleeting beauty, the nightingale exists in a timeless realm of joy. Turning to imagination, choosing poetry over wine, Keats imagines himself joining the nightingale in its tranquil forest. His imagination creates a vivid, moonlit scene, filled with fragrant flowers and natural beauty. Meditation on mortality. The poet contemplates death, finding it appealing to pass away painlessly amidst the nightingale's enchanting song. Yet, he acknowledges that while he might die, the bird's melody would continue, indifferent to his fate. The nightingale's timelessness. Keats perceives the nightingale as an eternal being, its song resonating through history and myth. He imagines its music comforting figures like Ruth and enchanting others in distant, magical lands. Return to reality. The word forlorn breaks his reverie, pulling him back to his solitary self. As the bird's song fades into the distance, the poet is left questioning whether his experience was real or a dream, ending the poem with an ambiguous sense of wonder. This poem masterfully explores the tension between human mortality and the immortal beauty of art and nature, showcasing Keats's profound poetic vision.